Alright, that should create a little notch for the nail to sit in. Alright, now to get our length just so, I have this here and this somewhere, and I'm going to grab my little blade here, and I'm actually going to put the blade up so that the biting end is in a slightly safer place, ever so slightly. I'm less likely to cut myself on this. This is the working end here. That's nice, I was able to slide that out. It is a hacksaw after all, it can cut. You want to have enough room for that blade itself. And of course I'm trying to do this in a safe way. Alright, that's good. Now, if I'm the hacksaw, and I want to sit there at the furthest point out, something similar on this side. I'm going to jam this in, a hole that's really not that big. Let me make this a little bit bigger. And it may seem like I'm splitting this really far. I don't really care. That's fine. It's not going to split open on you. It shouldn't. You can always put string or twine around that. Keep that nice safe. Marry these up. Okay. There's hole, there's hole. There's one pinch point. And right there is the utter farthest I want to go with my notch. I'm going to set that over there aside, and now I have to come up with an exact duplication of this, but on this side. And the furthest I want that tip to be, I'm going to mark that, is right there. I don't want it longer, I don't want it much shorter. Okay, so that's now effectively marked. And I want to go from there to there. Oops, helps if you're on the correct side of the knife, huh? Especially when you put your thumb on it. Alright, so again, great care being taken place. I'm not hitting this super hard, hitting it nice and light, letting the baton do a little bit of the work and the knife do the most of the work. Now, how am I lining up? Not terribly well. Alright. There. A little bit better lined up as far as that goes. Next, do this side. There to there. Here I'm just doing very light just to get it seated. And I want to slightly heavier. And not whacking it super hard. If it's just leaning against my leg, I'm not as worried about that. But if I'm using my leg to brace it, I don't want to hit it really hard because it could hurt you. Okay. Now I'm going to lean it against my leg and just hit it hard. There we go. Okay, so first thing I marked on the sides where I want my hand to stop. I have a long ways to go. That cut right there made a huge difference in terms of how far I have to go to cut this. So let's do a little bit more of that on this side. This is the hardest part in terms of getting the distances just right and meeting that tip right there. See where I marked it on the side. Marking on the top doesn't do any good because I just removed that. Okay. Okay. Actually, I'm at a point now to help my tipping. Cut through that a little better. Just cut through it sideways. We'll see what happens. Alright, so now I have a good sense of where I want to go in terms of my point that I'm sharpening down toward. You can see it now. I just have to angle the wood to it. Flatten that out so it comes to a nice flat tip. Yeah, this is kind of a hardwood, so I didn't choose the right type of wood. It kind of slows you down when you're having to fight just to do little things like this. One of the problems with hardwood is it's so, when you cut it, it ends up being so smooth and glassy almost that you can't get much purchase. And when you do want to do precise work like this, you can't dig into it as easily. But once you do dig in, it can chip off pretty easy. Alright, I'm going to just smooth this out so it's flat across the surface again. And we should have something workable. Woo! That's a workout. Now, I'm going to take my frame and see if my tips are good tips. This one's actually surprisingly sharp. And it will work. It's just enough. So let me let me get the string set up here. Now the trick with the string, this is bank line, which basically is nylon string that's been tarred, and the tarring really helps quite a bit. I'm gonna measure this out, and having a little extra bank line is never a bad thing. So that should be enough. What I like to do with the bank line, just to prevent fraying, is just put a simple knot, simple overhand knot in that, just to, if there is fraying, which there isn't going to be much, there's no way it can really get away too far. Okay, this, quite simple, just tie it off into a loop. Doesn't really matter your knot as long as it doesn't move on you. This one's good enough. Double overhand knot. Ain't going anywhere. Alright, and actually the bigger challenge is actually going to be getting this to the correct size. So now what I need is just a simple little stick that's long enough, but not too encumbering. So let's go with, I want it to be long enough to catch the board. There we go. That'll do. And this stick doesn't have to be all that impressive. It just has to be there for the most part. Let me clean this up a little. And this is basically the tensioner stick. And I'm only cleaning it up because it's nice to have it. Okay, so that the string is going to go across here, and I want the tensioner stick to be about that distance. So let's break it about there if I can. Or I'll use a knife to do that for me. Put a weak spot in. And once the weak spot is in, I should be able to snap it. There we go. There. Alright, so